Alright, let's talk about audacity. The kind of audacity that makes you sit up and take notice. Ukraine recently took that concept, strapped some explosives to it, and flew it deep into Russian territory. This wasn't just a simple mission, it was a daring, high-stakes gamble. They called it Operation Spiderweb, and it was a full-blown, multi-pronged aerial ballet of destruction. Imagine a symphony of drones, each with a specific role, all converging on their targets with precision. Russia's air defenses were caught napping. It was as if they never saw it coming, a colossal oversight that would cost them dearly. Imagine planning a surprise party where the surprise involves dozens of unmanned aircraft buzzing over supposedly secure airbases. The sheer audacity of it all was mind-boggling. These were strategic hubs, places from which Russia had been launching its own aerial visits to Ukraine. These bases were the nerve centers of their operations. Ukraine decided to return the favor, airmail, special delivery. It was a message sent loud and clear. This operation wasn't just bold, it was a calculated gamble. Every move was meticulously planned, every risk weighed. The impact was immediate and, for Moscow, deeply embarrassing. The explosions were not just physical, but also a blow to their pride. Operation Spiderweb wasn't just about destroying equipment, it was about psychological warfare. It was about sending a message that resonated far beyond the immediate damage. It demonstrated a level of sophistication and reach that many had underestimated. The world was watching, and Ukraine was making a statement. This was Ukraine saying, "We see you, we can reach you, and your fancy airbases, not so fancy anymore." The world watched, and the message was clear: Ukraine was not to be underestimated. So, who were the unlucky recipients of these uninvited aerial guests? The answer lies deep within Russia's borders, where some of the most fortified and strategically important airfields are located. Operation Spiderweb targeted some of Russia's most significant military airfields. These airfields are not just any ordinary military installations, they are the backbone of Russia's aerial capabilities. Bases like Shaykovka, home to Tu-22 M3 long-range bombers, and Engels-2, a strategic bomber base deep inside Russia, were among the primary targets. These bases house some of the most advanced and powerful aircraft in Russia's arsenal. These weren't just parking lots for planes, they were critical nodes in Russia's war machine. The aircraft stationed here are capable of carrying out long-range missions that can alter the course of conflicts. Hitting a place like that isn't just about damaging a few aircraft. It's about sending a shiver down the spine of the entire Russian military establishment. The psychological impact of such strikes cannot be underestimated. The selection of these targets demonstrated a clear strategic objective: to degrade Russia's ability to launch long-range strikes. By crippling these airfields, the operation aimed to significantly reduce Russia's offensive capabilities. The operation involved simultaneous strikes on major airbases. This level of coordination required meticulous planning and precise execution, showcasing the operational capabilities of the attackers. This coordinated approach stretched Russian air defenses thin. The sheer number of simultaneous attacks overwhelmed the defensive systems, making it difficult for them to effectively respond. The choice of targets also had a symbolic dimension, challenging the narrative of Russian military dominance. By striking these high-profile airfields, the attackers sent a clear message about their capabilities and intentions. Ukraine added another very large, very visible dent to that narrative. The aftermath of these strikes was not just physical damage, but also a significant blow to the perceived invincibility of Russia's military infrastructure. When the sun rose over those Russian air bases, the scene was one of chaos and considerable destruction. Initial assessments painted a grim picture for the Russian Air Force. Credible sources suggested significant damage. Ukrainian officials claimed the operation was a resounding success. They reported that dozens of Russian aircraft were either destroyed or seriously damaged. Beyond the aircraft, the strikes targeted crucial infrastructure. Fuel storage facilities and ammunition depots were hit, leading to secondary explosions. The goal was to disrupt the operational capacity of these bases for an extended period. The Russian Ministry of Defense initially reported minor incidents involving UAVs being intercepted. However, the scale of the fires and visible damage told a different story. An operation of this magnitude doesn't just happen overnight. Operation Spiderweb was the culmination of months of meticulous planning, intelligence gathering, and technological refinement. Ukrainian planners analyzed Russian air defense deployments and identified critical vulnerabilities. The intelligence gathering likely involved a combination of Western intelligence support, signals intelligence, and potentially human intelligence on the ground. Innovation was key. Ukraine has consistently demonstrated an ability to innovate, particularly in drone warfare. The planners had to solve the problem of how to get a significant number of drones into hostile airspace and hit their targets. This meticulous, multifaceted approach was the secret ingredient to Operation Spiderweb's shocking effectiveness. The drones used in Operation Spiderweb weren't your average hobbyist drones. These weren't the kind you could pick up at a local electronics store or order online for recreational use. These were sophisticated pieces of military hardware, meticulously designed and engineered for specific tactical purposes. Ukraine has become a hotbed of drone innovation, with engineers and developers pushing the boundaries of what's possible in unmanned aerial technology. We're likely talking about fixed-wing drones capable of flying hundreds of kilometers without needing to refuel or recharge, making them ideal for long-range missions. These drones were designed for a one-way trip with a very explosive punchline. They carry payloads that can cause significant damage upon impact. Key features included advanced navigation systems and the ability to fly autonomously, which means they can reach their targets without human intervention. Payload capacity and accuracy were vital. The drones needed to carry enough explosives to be effective while also being precise enough to hit their intended targets. These drones were armed with warheads substantial enough to damage or destroy hardened aircraft shelters, making them a formidable tool in modern warfare. Guidance systems needed to be precise enough to hit specific targets within sprawling airbases, ensuring maximum impact with minimal collateral damage. The development of these drones is a testament to Ukrainian engineering prowess, showcasing their ability to innovate under pressure and deliver effective solutions. For a fraction of the cost of a single Russian fighter jet, Ukraine can deploy dozens of these attack drones, making them a cost-effective alternative in the theater of war. Operation Spiderweb was a stark demonstration of this new reality, highlighting the shift towards unmanned systems in modern military strategy and the growing importance of drone technology in global conflicts. The execution of Operation Spiderweb was a masterclass in coordinated chaos. For Ukraine, it was a symphony of carefully timed launches and meticulously planned flight paths. The drones were likely launched in waves, possibly from different directions. Timing was critical. The attacks were carried out in the pre-dawn hours, a period when human alertness is naturally at its lowest. This suggests sophisticated flight control software and potentially real-time adjustments based on incoming intelligence. The drones employed various tactics to penetrate Russian airspace. Low-altitude flight helps to stay below the main lobes of radar systems. Once over the target areas, the final phase of the attack commenced. The success of these strikes indicates that a significant number of drones reached their intended destinations. The immediate aftermath in Russia was likely a cocktail of shock, anger, and frantic activity. Russian air defense units had clearly been outmaneuvered or overwhelmed. The official Russian response was muted and aimed at controlling the narrative. Initial statements focused on the successful interception of most drones. However, the proliferation of satellite images and videos on social media made this official line increasingly untenable. Behind the scenes, there were likely some very uncomfortable meetings happening in Moscow. An urgent review of air defense postures around critical military installations would have been ordered. This kind of attack forces a military to re-evaluate its assumptions and capabilities. The psychological impact on Russian pilots and ground crews shouldn't be underestimated. In the longer term, Russia would be forced to adapt. Operation Spiderweb effectively imposed a new set of defensive burdens on Russia. The political fallout from Operation Spiderweb within Russia was significant. For a government that predicates much of its legitimacy on projecting strength, having multiple strategic airbases attacked is a very bad look. It directly contradicts the Kremlin's narrative that the special military operation is going according to plan. This kind of event fuels internal criticism and unease. For President Putin, any sign of weakness is a political liability. The Kremlin would have to engage in serious damage control. However, the underlying vulnerability had been exposed. Operation Spiderweb wasn't just an attack on military assets, it was an attack on the Kremlin's carefully constructed image of omnipotence. Operation Spiderweb isn't just a dramatic episode, It's a flashing neon sign pointing to the future of conflict. It underscores the transformative power of drone technology and asymmetric warfare. Nations can now project significant power using relatively inexpensive, adaptable, and intelligent unmanned systems. This changes the calculus for military planners everywhere. For Russia, the operation serves as a brutal wake-up call. They must now invest heavily in counter-drone technologies and reconfigure their air defenses. This isn't just about adding more guns. It's about developing sophisticated detection systems and new doctrines. What does this mean for the wider conflict? Operations like Spiderweb demonstrate Ukraine's enduring capability to resist. This can strengthen Ukraine's hand in any future negotiations. One thing is for sure, the spiders are out, and they're not just catching flies anymore.